A common question I get asked is, hey, Azul, how do I compare to other people my age? And there's a bunch of different ways I could slice and dice this, but in today's video, I want to focus on the salary side of things. So you can compare how are you doing versus other people in your salary range. And we're going to do the whole spectrum. We're going to start with the lower 10%, go up to the median, then the upper quartile, the upper 10%, and finally the upper 1%. So let's jump in and look at this chart. It's from Don't Quit Your Day Job, and they get the data from the current population study that's put out every year from the Census Bureau and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay, so let's look at the lower 10 percentile. People that are 25 years old, it's $20,000. At 35, it goes up to $27,000. Again, this is for an individual. This is not household income. And then it actually goes down to $25,000. And people will look and say, well, why is that? And part of it is it's just weird things happen at the bottom end. But I think there's more entry-level jobs for people younger in their life, entry-level jobs that might be paying more than later in their life when an employer is looking and saying, you know, this person doesn't have the skill sets I'd like them to have at this age. So it drops down to 25,000, stays at 25,000 at 55, and then actually drops to 18,000 at 65. How about the lower quartile? For 25-year-olds, it's 30,000. For 35 years old, it's 40,000. For 45-year-olds, it stays 40,000. 55, it stays 40,000. And then at 65, it drops pretty substantially down to 34,000. Okay, so what's the median? Half the people are doing better, half the people are doing worse. The median is 45,000 for a 25-year-old. For a 35-year-old, it's 61,500. 60,000 at 45, 65,000 at 55, and then it stays 55,000 for 65-year-olds. So you can see there's a huge jump between the lower 10% and the median, and even between the lower quartile and the median. We're going to see that continue as we look at different ages. So the 75th percentile, these are people in the upper quartile of everybody their age group from a salary standpoint. It's $65,000 for a 25-year-old. It's $100,000 for a 35-year-old, a 45-year-old, and a 55-year-old. Then it drops down to $86,500 for somebody 65 years old. Top 10%, you can see here for the 25-year-olds, it's $93,000. For 35-year-old, it's $150,000, stays pretty constant for a 35-year-old, 45-year-old, 55-year-old, and even at 65 years old. Okay, the upper 5%, these are people in the top, they're in the 95th percentile, they're in the top 5%. You can see for a 25-year-old, it's $115,000. For a 35-year-old, it's $200,000. It keeps climbing. Goes up, peaks out at $215,783, drops down to $200,000 for a 55-year-old, but jumps back up at 65. And I think part of that is people that are making this kind of salary, it's hard to leave a job that's paying that well. So I think what's happening is people that are on the lower end are just saying, I'm happy to quit. And people that are making a ton of money, they may have a professional degree, they may be a business owner, and they may be saying, you know what, I don't want to quit. I want to keep working. Okay, how about that upper 1%? The upper 1%, you can see the young people, 25 years old, $200,000, then it doubles from 25 to 35 to 400,000, stays at 400,000 for 45-year-olds, drops down to 350,000, and then same thing that we were talking about with the upper 5%. It actually goes back up to 450,000 at 65 years old. So if you're curious, there's 10-year spans there. If you want to see your exact age, I'm going to scroll through this video very slowly of the ages by year so you can see what the median salary is for those folks, and then also the top 1%. So let's say you're 58 years old, you can scroll and just pause the video here. And at 58 years old, it's $500,000 to be in the top 1%. There's another fun website that I want to tell you about. It's if you do a Google search on 4-pillar freedom, you can see by age, you can put in your age, and it'll give you a nice chart showing all the income percentiles, color-coded, so you can put in your age. This is what it looks like for 40, and this is what it looks like for 50, and this is what it looks like for 60. It's using the same current population study, the CPS, so the data should match up nicely. I think the 4-pillar data might be a little more dated. Now, here's the important thing that I want to talk about. Unfortunately, over half the people in the United States that make $100,000 a year or more, they don't save a dime, they save nothing. So it's not just how much you earn, but it's also how much you save. I have 3 rules for building wealth. The first one is just that no matter how much you earn, you need to spend less than what you earn, right? We need to save something, but it's not enough to save. We also have to invest it. So that's rule number 1, right? No matter how much you earn, spend less than what you earn, and it's not enough to just save it. We have to invest it. Rule number 2 is one house. In today's day of Airbnb, in fact, I'm at an Airbnb as I film this today on vacation. Very few of us need a second home. And in the past, for the last 20 years, it may have been a good thing to have a second home from a financial standpoint. But in general, people end up using their second homes less. As a financial advisor for over 20 years, I can share that with you. And there are a lot of headaches associated with a second home, right? You've got to keep it maintained. You have to worry about, when nobody's staying there, is the house secure? Is it safe? If it's in a place like a mountain town where I live, is it in a place that the pipes can burst? And if they do, how do you make sure that that doesn't cause catastrophic challenges? And then it's expensive, right? Yes, the appreciation might be high, but the interest rates are higher on a second loan. It's expensive to keep it maintained. Property tax is expensive. So just thinking through all those things, which is why I have the first rule that we always talked about, and then one house and one spouse. And I know not every relationship is meant to last forever, and I kind of say that tongue-in-cheek just because it has a good rhyme to it. But the reality is it's one of the most expensive things that people go through, particularly later in life, once the kids head off to college. Maybe the partners are like, we were kind of staying together for the kids are gone now, you live your life, I'll live my life. And if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But I think it's worth trying. If the relationship can be saved, I think it's worth trying. Same thing with your health. Invest in your relationship, but also invest in your health, because boy, our health is much more important than our wealth. Give me a choice between retiring with $2 million and being unhealthy, or retiring with $1 million and be healthy. At least for me, that's an easy decision. I take the $1 million in my house. So take the time, invest the time, the effort, and even the money to stay healthy, because none of us know how long that we have to live and to be healthy. But we may not be able to influence the day that we die, how old we are when we die, but we can influence the joy of the journey. And thinking through when the journey starts on retirement is the reason I made this video here. Why waiting to 65 to retire might be a big mistake. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.